Hey everyone, Coach Investor back to another video for today. So now that we've had AMD and Nvidia report, of course, the next one we're looking out for is AMD. Now this video is solely made to share my thoughts on the current state of all three companies, but especially Nvidia, seeing that the stock is up 35% since the last time they reported earnings, and it's up close to 90% since the lows back in October, approximately a couple of percentage points here and there. So my question is the expectation already baked in? I mean, the results are already baked into the price because remember, even back when it was, well, at the $150 mark or maybe even a bit lower, Nvidia from a valuation standpoint was very expensive compared to the likes of AMD and Intel. Of course, if we compare it to Intel, you cannot really compare it apples to apples because Nvidia is growing faster than Intel right now. But if you compare it to AMD, it was more expensive. So now that it's up 90% since the lows, well, usually this happens because the market anticipates something big. We've talked about the effect of ChatGPT that it will have on a business like Nvidia. So if you haven't watched that, the video is going to be in the top right corner. But right now, the stock has been going higher and higher. It's over $200 again, and we still have to wait for the earnings report, which again should show us a little slowdown in growth year over year, especially. Now, does that mean that right now Nvidia shareholders should panic because a slight miss might destroy the stock? No, probably a lot of news is already known to the overall market, but we are probably waiting to hear more about their outlook for 2023. We've heard Intel, which again was horrible. The guide was horrible. Q4 was also horrible as well. Then we've had AMD. We're going to have a quick look at all of this in this video, but I'm just sharing my thoughts here when it comes to all three companies, but especially right now Nvidia, because Nvidia is the big player when it comes to data center. It's a big one when it comes to gaming as well. We know that professional visualization, the subscription side of things, will take some time for it to become a meaningful part of the business. And then when it comes to the auto segment of the business, we know that that has been growing lately as well. But overall, does all of this make sense when you see the price action of the stock? Of course, we've had the Fed announcement on Wednesday, 25 basis points hike, but then during the speech, he started off hawkish, but then went to a more dovish tone. So, well, the market saw this as a bit of a positive. Of course, the market reaction says a lot. So all of that, you have to take that into consideration. The whole market has been going up. It's not just Nvidia. So take all of that into calculation, share your thoughts down in the comments. We're going to have a look at all of what I've been discussing in the last 4 minutes in this video. Now, if you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not. We really, really appreciate that. We're trying to reach 30,000 by the end of the year. Let's see if that's feasible. And if you want to support me further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. So first things first is obviously Nvidia's own outlook for the quarter. So they expect revenue of $6 billion plus minus 2%. They expect modest sequential growth driven by automotive, no surprises there, data center, and gaming. Now, as you will see a bit later on, actually, we can see it right now. We can clearly see, and this is something I've been saying for the last year and a half or so, data center has taken over the business, right? Gaming, we know with the crypto cycle, this has taken a huge, huge hit. But I did not expect gaming to, well, gain sequentially here. I thought we should see another hit, but apparently they expect it to be better. My best guess would be that they have already seen some very, very positive moves when it comes to RTX 4090 and 4080, because otherwise I don't see how suddenly this segment has a turnaround. But hey, let's wait and see. I can already say that I have pre-ordered my new laptop, let's say my new beast, with an RTX 4080 with Intel's 13th gen chip, the highest end. We're gonna test it out whenever it arrives, but I'm very, very excited. Why didn't I go for the RTX 4090? Well, because it sold out before I even had the chance to click buy. So there is that. Circling back here to their outlook, so gross margin, 66% non-GAAP, 63.2% GAAP. Again, compared to the AMD and Intel, this is much, much better. Of course, since they expect Q4 revenue for fiscal year 2023 to be $6 billion approximately, we will obviously see this decrease year over year because fiscal year 2022 Q4 there was $7.6 billion. Of course, the gaming segment was then much stronger. So they do see quarter over quarter a slight growth here. Basically, I will call this flat. Now, since they talked about, well, some sequential growth in data center, in gaming, and then in auto, of course, I have to compare it to AMD's numbers. So AMD for the data center side, they saw 42% year over year growth, $1.7 billion. As we've said, if you haven't watched that video, it's going to be in the top right corner. Same with Intel. Sequentially, quarter over quarter, that was a slight growth as well from $1.6 billion approximately. Overall, revenue was $5.6 billion. So they are closing in on Nvidia when it comes to the, well, overall revenue side. The gaming side has taken a little hit here, 7% year over year decrease. Quarter over quarter, I believe that was flat. So there is that. Maybe that's why Nvidia expects to grow quarter over quarter, the gaming side, because they are still the kings there. But when we talk about the data center side, the server side, we see that AMD is still growing there. Of course, not as fast as before, but that's to be expected right now. But then if we have a look at what Intel said, they said that the decrease here, low revenue on total addressable market, contraction and competitive pressures. I think the first excuse here is not that true since we now have the numbers for AMD. Of course, we'll have to wait for Nvidia, but I don't think that Nvidia will take such a big hit. I think it's more about the competitive pressure here. I think it's more about AMD taking more market share in 2023. Of course, I still expect in the second half of the year much better performance from Intel, not just from the data center side, but also from the client side as well. Again, it all depends on the execution. But from what I've been hearing and reading, things are looking better than what you can see from the headlines. I'll make a complete different video solely again about Intel and the future of the company. So again, we're coming back to this slide right here. When you talk about Nvidia, really right now, it's the king in data center. It's still the king in gaming. You can see that auto is continuing to grow there. So that's compensating for some weakness in professional visualization and still, I would say, some weakness in the gaming market as well. So maybe Q3 would be, let's say, the bottom for the Nvidia business. Again, with what we've discussed when it comes to ChatGPT and the effect of Nvidia, that video top right corner, we could see a huge boost to Nvidia's business. And that would make it less dependent on the crypto cycle, which I think this is one of the main reasons why we see a graph like this. By the way, pat on my back here for making this call. Huge green candle above my red line here. Again, this is not a crystal ball magic. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But huge green candle on the weekly chart, then followed up by another green candle. So we went over that resistance line pretty hard. Of course, since we had that positive, let's say, outlook, well, maybe less negative outlook from the Fed, that certainly helped as well. But without all the expectations, the positive expectations from the market with regards to ChatGPT, with regards to Nvidia still dominating in gaming, in data center, auto still continuing to grow and faster than before, I think this is why you see a graph like this. Now, of course, going into the earnings report, a miss of any sort and then an outlook that is maybe less rosy than expected, then yes, I think the stock will take a big hit because it's still trading at a very high premium. Now, there is a reason why it trades as a high premium. If you don't know why, well, rewatch the video and I think it would make sense. Of course, I'd love to hear your reasoning behind the price action with Nvidia. If you're holding AMD or Intel, share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.